Hello, welcome to Jennifer's Magical Book Club. Today I am here to read a novel which is called The Call of the Wild. I'm going to continue reading from chapter 1, page 13. So I'm going to start. He was bitten, but he was not broken. He saw once for all that he stood no chance against the man with the club. He had learned the lesson, and in all his afterlife, he never forgot it. That club was a revelation. It was his introduction to the origin of primitive law, and he met the introduction halfway. The effects of life took on a fiercer aspect, and while he faced that aspect uncowed, he faced it with all the latent cunning of his nature aroused. As the days went by, other dogs came in crates and at the ends of ropes, some docilely and some raging and roaring as he had come, and one and all, he watched them pass under the dominion of the man in the red sweater. Again and again, as he looked at each brutal performance, the lesson was driven home to Buck. A man with a club was a lawgiver, a master to be obeyed, though not necessarily conciliated. Of this last, Buck was never guilty, though he did see bitten dogs that bounded upon the man and wagged their tails and licked his hand. Also, he saw one dog that would neither conciliate nor obey, finally killed in the struggle for mastery. Now and again, men came strangers who talked excitedly, windily, and in all kinds of fashions to the man in the red sweater. And at such times that money passed between them, the strangers took one or more of the dogs away with them. Buck wondered where they went, for they never came back, but the fear of the future was strong upon him, and he was glad each time when he was not selected. Yet his time came in the end in the form of a little wizened man who spat broken English and many strange and uncouth exclamations which Buck could not understand. Sacredem, he cried, when his eyes lit upon Buck. That one damn bully dog. How much? 300 and a present. That was the prompt reply of the man in the red sweater. And seeing it's government money, you ain't got no kick coming up. Perlitz grinned, considering that the price of dogs had been boomed skyward by the unwanted demand. It was not unfair sum for so fine an animal. The Canadian government would be no loser, nor would its dispatches travel the slower. Perlitz knew dogs, and when he looked at Buck, he knew that he was 1 in 1,000. 1 in 10,000, he commented mentally. But some money passed between them, and was not surprised when Curly, a good-natured Newfoundland, and he were led away by the little wizened man. That was the last he saw of the man in the red sweater, and as Curly and he looked at receding Seattle from the deck of the Nerval, it was the last he saw of the warm Southland. Curly and he were taken below by Perlitz and turned over to a black-faced giant called Francois. Perlitz was a French-Canadian and swarthy, but Francois was a French-Canadian half-breed and twice as swarthy. They were a new kind of men to Buck, of which he was destined to see many more, and while he developed no affection for them, he none the less grew honestly to respect them. He speedily learned that Perilet and Francois were fair men, calm and impartial in administering justice, and too wise in the way of dogs to be fooled by dogs. In the twin decks of the Narwhal, Buck and Curly joined two other dogs. One of them was a big snow-white fellow from Switzerland who had been brought away by a whaling captain and who had later accompanied a geological survey in the Barrens. He was a friendly in a treacherous sort of way, smiling into one's face, the while he meditated some underhand trick, as for an instance, when he stole from Buck's food at the first meal. As Buck sprang to punish him, the lash of Francois's whip sang through the air, reaching the culprit first, and nothing remained to Buck but to recover the bone. That was fair for Francois, he decided, and the half-breed began his rise in Buck's estimation. The other dog made no advances, not received any. Also, he did not attempt to steal from the newcomers. He was a gloomy, morose fellow, and he showed Curly plainly that all he desired was to be left alone, and further, that there would be trouble if he were not left alone. Dave, he was called, and he ate and slept or yawned between times and took interest in nothing, not even when the Narwhal crossed Queen Charlotte's Sound and rolled and pitched and bucked like a thing possessed. When Buck and Curly grew excited, half wild with fear, he raised his head as though annoyed, favored them with an incurious glance, yawned, and went to sleep again. Day and night the ship drove to the tireless pulse of the propeller, and though one day was very like another, it was apparent to Buck that the weather was steadily growing colder. At last, one morning, the propeller was quiet and the Narwhal was pervaded with an atmosphere of excitement. He felt it, as did the other dogs, and knew that a change was at hand. Francois leashed them and brought them on deck. At the first step up on the cold surface, Buck's feet sank into a white mushy thing very like mud. He sprang back with a snort. More of this white stuff was falling through the air. He shook himself, but more of it fell upon him. He sniffed it curiously, then licked some up on his tongue. It bit like fire, and the next instant was gone. This puzzled him. He tried again with the same results. The onlookers laughed uproariously, and he felt ashamed, he knew not why, for it was his first snow. So I'm done reading to chapter 1 of this book, so I'm going to continue right back next time. See you later. Have a nice day. Bye.